Hello everyone, and do I have a treat for you. Jagex have just revealed the Desert Treasure 2 The Fallen Empire rewards blog. Now obviously none of these are set in stone, they're just suggestions, but there will be a poll coming with some of these, so stay tuned. In this video we'll be discussing the options that they've gone with, going into detail in them, and talking about how I accurately predicted one of Jagex's stances. I don't want this to drag on, so let's get straight into the good stuff. Firstly, not that important, but they have named all 4 bosses. I believe they named these in the previous blog, but I do really like their names, especially the Leviathan. I'm really looking forward to what that's going to be like. It is stated here that it's no secret that the 4 repeatable bosses, each with their own unique drops, is a first for questing in old school, which it is. And as well as that, there's more than likely going to be 4 pets, so good luck collection log hunters. Now, they're expecting the bosses to have a wide difficulty range, meaning that some are around Vorkath level, and others are shaping up to be the toughest post-quest encounters we've ever made. Now, post-quest kind of rules out Fragment of Seren and Galvek, because even though you can repeat them, they're not really grindable bosses like these. So, these bosses that are coming could be a little bit easier than the Galvek fight, but they are going to be pushing on the higher end. As it says here, the range difficulty means we're aiming for the rewards to sit just below raid level, so look forward to that. The first reward that they want to pitch obviously is going to be the Virtus Robes, which we already knew about. Now if you don't remember, Virtus Robes are a powerful high level magic armor set that boosts the power of the ancient elements, and comes with a lot of magic damage bonus. Now if we take a look at the poll questions here, question 1 is just simply, would you like Virtus to be dropped by the 4 bosses? It'll probably have a piece or 2 on each, that's absolutely fine, that's more than likely going to pass. However, if we look at question 2, that's where it gets interesting. If we were to offer Virtus Robes, would you like them to focus on offering bonuses to ancient magics? Now, this is kind of interesting because of what's coming next, but I assume these bonuses would be kind of simple, just extra freeze time, extra healing, kind of like what we just got with the Ancient Scepter. However, next, we are going to be speaking about the Ancient Scepter additional upgrades. Now, for those who didn't see, there was a data mine on Reddit when the Musper came out, and it showed 4 new models for Ancient Scepter, which has an Ice Gem, a Shadow Gem, a Smoke Gem, and a Blood Gem. At the time, it was obviously suspected that, it could be DT2 rewards or scrapped rewards previously. But because it was left in the data, they assumed that it had been for DT2, and the community was right. They're proposing that each of the 4 bosses drops an untradeable gem, likely with a pity timer like the Vorkath head dropping at 50kc guaranteed, and each one would drop a respective element. Now you combine these with the Ancient Scepter, and then it'll buff the element. However, what's really interesting is that they're not on about just freezing better healing, they want to get creative with it. For example, with Ice and Smoke, they're thinking about adding a new stat. It's a hidden stat, we won't really get to see it, but it'll be a freeze and poison penetration. Now what this would do is if a monster is immune to poison or immune to being frozen, this would potentially bypass that, meaning new metas could be created, because if you can poison something that can't be poisoned, or you can freeze something that can't be frozen, suddenly the meta might change. Now again, I do love where they're going with this, and I do think that this one is going to pass, where it's just saying, do you want them to all drop an untradeable gem? More than likely yes, we love power, we love new things, the community is going to vote yes on that. However, people do not like new stats, so I'm not too sure about this one. However, if it did get into the game, it'd be great, and even if it gets voted no, I imagine Jagex is going to come up with some really creative options that isn't just increasing the spells as they are. Next is the real winner for me. They want each one to drop some new ring bling. Now, as they've stated here, ever since 2005, the DK rings have been the best in their niches. People still use the Berserker ring and Archer ring mainly today, while the Warriors and Seers have kind of fell off a little bit. However, they want to create 4 new rings that are going to outclass all of those, and the best part is, you do not need to imbue them, they'll have the best stats right out of the box. Now they're proposing that there'd be a best in slot melee strength ring, which is going to outclass the Zerker, as well as a melee strength and slash bonus. So this will obviously offer less melee strength, but it will have the slash attack bonus as well, meaning they'll both fill particular niches. As well as that, they want to do 2 things that have never been done before, but has been highly sought after. They want to do a ranged accuracy and range strength ring, and the range strength has never been done before, So this is basically going to be an archer's ring or better, we don't know yet, with range strength on top, which is just going to outclass it completely. They also want to add a magic accuracy and magic damage ring, which again has never been done before. And magic damage is a very important stat, and having a new armor slot that has it on is going to shape up the game tremendously. The poll questions for this one again, I do think this is going to pass straight up. In my eyes, everyone's been wanting new rings for so long. This is a no-brainer in my eyes, and probably a lot of people's. However, the interesting one is question 6. If it's voted on, they want the highest voted option here to be fleshed out. One is the simple stat increases that make them new best in slot rings, so they'll be the stats that we went over here. Or do they want unique effects adding to the rings to make them fill their specific niches? Now, honestly, because rings haven't been updated in that long, I know we've got the Light Bearer, we've got the Ring of Endurance, we've got Brimstone Ring, etc. None of them really outshine these niches. So I think the best option people are going to go for here is this, because unique effects, while being awesome, probably won't get as many as this, because this is just nice and simple. This could be a little bit more complex and interesting. Honestly, I'm happy with both, and I don't want this to be skipped. Because if skip's the highest voted option here, I have no idea what they'd actually do. And finally, we get to the juice of the blog, the Ruinous Powers prayer book. Now the first sentence here, if it doesn't get you hyped, I don't know what would. Old School's first ever set of new prayers, the ability to wield some of the power that put the fallen empire on the map, like the whole map, will soon be yours, insinuating some really good combat buffs. There's a lot of text here, so I'll gloss over it, but the most important thing is this. They do not want to copy RuneScape's curses, which when they came out was stuff like Turmoil, Soul Split, etc., and the deflection prayers. They'll be taking inspiration from them, however they want Ruinous Powers to be their own thing and feel more like a trade-off rather than an upgrade. So rather than just having Turmoil being an upgrade to Piety or deflection prayers being an upgrade to prayers, what they want to do is a trade-off. So their example here is that if you have a defensive prayer like Protect from Melee that reduces damage by 100%, instead it'll reduce it by 90%, meaning you do still take damage, but you'll be granted additional buffs. I like this a lot, but we'll see how it pans out. Now a really important line here is this. This is the most meta-defining thing in the entire book, and I love how Jagex have done it. In the spirit of trade-offs, we also want to propose that players should not be able to one-tick flick the Ruinous Powers. Now, this means keeping them up indefinitely for no cost. It is a one-tick flick, which means that there's no cost and you've always got the prayer up. This is not lazy flicking where you simply flick a protection prayer on and then turn it off, and then 4 or 5 ticks later, whatever the monster's attack speed is, putting it back on. This will not hinder that and it'll still be possible. They just want to stop the indefinite usage of prayer for free. This won't affect the normal spellbook, which is awesome because even though it wasn't intended, it has been used and they don't want to change that. As the state here, we're raising this now because the ability to indefinitely sustain these new prayers locks us out of some really interesting proposals. They want the freedom to create powerful prayers safe in the knowledge that there's a resource for using them. Bear this in mind when creating ideas. Now what's really interesting about this is a couple of months ago I made a Ruinous Powers predictions video, and in that I went over how to counteract and remove prayer flicking and some potential options for it. If you want to see that video, it's here. But here's a small snippet of it where I gloss over that. When looking at potential new prayers here, we have to be very careful about the current limitations and problems with the prayer system, namely prayer flicking, and how overpowered having a prayer on every tick for no cost could be. Honestly, having prayer flicking in the game limits design choice, and if it's not changed, Jagex will be faced with the same problems. It'll be quite hard designing the new prayers. So, hopefully they're not scared to add countermeasures to some of the prayers at least. The fact that Jagex has actually done this blows my mind because I didn't think they would, but from a game designer and developer's perspective, it is the right thing to do. Because if you have indefinite usage for no cost, how do you balance that? They can't create some out-of-the-box, overpowered prayers, because if you can keep them up indefinitely, you're just adding tons of power creep. The cost for using powerful things in RuneScape is a cost, right? If there's no cost, you can't have that powerful thing. So doing this and giving them the freedom to design whatever they want is the perfect proposal, and I am all for it. The poll question here is also really important. Do you want the prayers to be exclusively combat, mostly combat with a few minor skilling perks, or a balance of combat and some good skilling perks? Personally, as you've probably seen if you saw my other video, I want balance of combat and skilling, and I offered some proposals and suggestions in that video. Personally, I am looking forward to this a lot. Now, we won't go over this that much, but they are doing a community designed reward proposal for DT2. Get on Reddit, get anywhere, get on Twitter, make an item, make an effect, propose it as a reward, and it could be in the game. Their example here is a halberd style weapon that's a long range polearm that actually has a chance to hit and cause the NPC to bleed, which is really interesting of an effect. Might not come into the game, they're going into detail of it here, but these are the examples of how creative you can be. Thanks for watching, love you and leave you, I hope this helped, and I'll see you next time. Bye!